Parshas Vayera begins, Vayar Elav Hashem be'elonei Mamre, and God appears to Abraham in the plains of Mamre. This is a continuation from last week's Parsha, that Abraham was 99, he had a circumcision, a major surgery, and hence he is recovering. And God makes it very hot so people don't have to, no one's around to bother Abraham, so he could recover. So it says, he appears to God in the plains of Mamre. So Rashi writes, Le'elonei Mamre. Who's Mamre? Who Shanasan lo Eitza al Hamila. He's the one who gave advice to Abraham regarding the mitzvah of Mila, circumcision. L'fichach nigla ela bechelko. Because of he gave advice to Abraham about the circumcision, therefore it's called Elonei Mamre. So that's a famous Rashi in this week's Parsha. And there's a famous question on this Rashi. And that is an obvious question, is, what do you mean? God told Abraham to do a circumcision, and he said, well, wait a second, let me discuss it with Mamre. Let's see what Mamre has to say. Why was Abraham asking Mamre about a Milah if God already told him to do a Milah? So what is going on here? So on this, there are a lot of different explanations. We'll go through a couple. What exactly was Abraham asking here? Was he really asking, you know what, should I listen to God? Like, was that in doubt? What exactly is he asking? In fact, the Medrash says that he actually asked three people. Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. So he went to Aner and he said, should I do the bris milah? He says, are you kidding me? You become a Baal Mum. You become a blemish. Everyone's going to know. And you know, right after the war with the 4 and 5 kings, they're going to come after you. You're going to be blemish. Or a Baal Mum. Don't do it. So that's one no. Then Eshkol said, no, you are a Zakein. You're 99, 100. So so it's a danger. You might start bleeding, and we won't be able to stop it, and you're going to die from it. So therefore, don't do it. So you have two no's. And Mamre gives a yes. He says, are you kidding me? Of course. You jumped into the Kivshan Aish, the story in Or Kasdim with Abraham. He was willing, you jumped into a fiery furnace, and God saved you. That was the whole body. And now you're going to worry about Aver Echad, you're going to worry about one part of the body? Of course you listen to God. So that's the Medrash. So in the Medrash it appears it's clear they were asking, should I do Milah or not? So he had two no's, Aner and Eshkol, and Mamre said yes. So therefore, Vayera Elav Hashem be'elonei Mamre. Since he gave him an Eitza al Hamila, therefore it was named after him. However, many of the Mefarshim, especially among the Achronim, give different answers in terms of what exactly was the Eitza that he was looking for from Avraham Avinu. So some point out, let's say the Maharal, that really Avram's friends were the Balei Bris, his friends, his three buddies, Aner, Eshkol, and Mamre. So the Maharal explains is sometimes homiletically, like, of course Avram was going to do the bris anyway, but he asks is, sometimes you're among friends and they get insulted if you don't ask them. Not that they're going to tell you yes anyway, but they feel like they should be included in the decision. And since he had a pact, he was very close to them, it wasn't ever doubting he'd ever do the Milah. It was more of, he was asking them, Shal Eitza, this B'Torah's friendship, and this to include them, and not, there was never any doubt that he wouldn't do it. The Maharal has another answer. He says the reason why Avram asked them is he didn't want to do it miyad, immediately, because people would say, you know what? He wasn't thinking, it was instinctive. If he would have thought about what he was doing, he never would have done the bris milah. So it was more in terms of to show the whole world, no, it was thought out, it was he acted out of logic, he spoke it out, pilpul chaverim, and then he came to his conclusion. That's what the Maharal says. Others point out the Bir Yosef, Rav Yosef Salant, and the Seder Laderach seem to say something similar, something we discussed last week, is the issue of Avram Avinu kept the whole Torah even before it was given. Afilu Erubei Tavshil, and even the mitzvah of Erev Tavshil, preparing the food on Yantav, you have to eat on Shabbos, and Avram represents Achnas Orchim. That's the Gemara in Yuma Daf Chavches. So that Avram kept the whole Torah. So we know Avram's mitzvah Milah is different than our mitzvah, and that's a general rule we went into last week. Is we do mitzvahs because of Moshe Rabbeinu, not because of Avraham, and therefore it's binding on us because of Moshe Rabbeinu. Avraham Avinu himself was only obligated in Milah and not in the Priya. And in fact, we know there are three parts to a bris. There's the Milah, the cutting off of the foreskin, the Priya, the revealing, the membrane, and then there's the Mitzitza, is sucking out the blood, and that's for health issues, as the Gemara says. A Moel doesn't do Mitzitza, you get rid of him, he's putting the child in danger. So there are three aspects to the Milah. In fact, interesting, when it says in the beginning of the parish, V'nei Shlosha Anashim, there were three angels that came, there were three angels dressed up as people. Why did three angels come? So Rashi writes, Echad Lovatzir at Sarah, one came to tell Sarah the good news. The Echad Lahafoch at Sodom, and one was coming to tell Avram he was destroying Sodom and Amorah. The Echad Rapos es Avram, and one came to heal Avram. So why can't you have one telling Sarah the news that she's going to have a baby, and to heal Avram and to destroy Sodom? What do I need three different angels? So Rashi quotes the Gemara of Bava Metzia, the Medrash, She'ein Malach Echad Osa Shtei Shlichos, because whatever it means exactly, a Malach can only do one thing at a time. And therefore, so it's interesting, there are three parts of the mitzvah of Milah, and three angels came. So they bring down in the Hasidic Svarim the concept that when the person does a mitzvah, so it has everlasting impact. What you do, so to speak, every time you do a good deed, so to speak, you bring a good malach, a good angel into the world. So therefore, it's saying each of the angels represented three different parts. Since Avram did the mitzvah of Milah, so there's Echad Lavasir, Torah, the good news. That's to reveal, that's the Priya, that you reveal the membrane. Echad Lahafach Sodom, to destroy Sodom, destroy evil, that's the Milah, you're cutting off the Arla, which represents both physical and spiritual evil. The Echad Larapos is Avram, and the third came to heal Abraham. That's out the Mitzvah. So there are three aspects to the mitzvah. He created these three angels, and these three angels came and they did their appropriate roles, either revealing the news to Sarah, the Priya, the Milah, cutting off evil, getting rid of Sodom and Amorah, and Mitzvah for health reasons. So interesting. So that's what the Mefarshim explained. But getting back, so really Avram was only chayav in Milah and not Priya. And Avram on his own decided that he's going to do the Priya. So that's how the Bir Yosef explains, is because we had the famous question, why did Avram wait to be commanded. All the other mitzvahs he volunteered. The answer is all the other mitzvahs you could do many times, but Mila you only could do once. So his question, and we know, Gadol HaMetzuva v'yosem Misha'ina Metzuva. Greater is the one who is commanded than one who isn't. So other mitzvahs you could do with volunteer, and then you could do with commanded. But Mila, you only have one chance. So he waited to be commanded. However, his issue to Mamre, he asked Mamre, but what should I do about the Priya? Priya, I'm not commanded. So should I do Priya also at the same time I do the Mila? Or should I wait? So it says, Hu Shanasan Eitzah Mila. And so he went ahead and told Abraham to do the Mila and the Priya. And that's what it means. Others point out that they say parenthetically, that, sarcastically, that to some people, that they don't really care what the Torah has to say or what Judaism has to say, but if there's an external source saying it, wow. So they say parenthetically, they say, well, if it says it if God commands you to do it, I don't know, I'm not sure. But if a guy tells me to do it, if I ask Mamre and he tells me, then I'll certainly do it. And therefore that's what they say out there. Another answer on why he asked an Eitzah for Mamre, not for himself. He would have listened to God, but for future generations, for those who wouldn't do it because God says it, but you want to hear from external sources, Susha Nasan Eitzah al Amila. Others point out that Abram was the king of Kiruv Rechokim. He used to stand at the tent bringing people in, and he was concerned that if word gets out that he does a Mila, everyone's going to look at him differently, not only physically, but spiritually and as a friend, and therefore he might not be as effective anymore. He was concerned about that, and Mami said, don't worry about it, go ahead and do the bris milah. Another explanation given, what does it mean? Husha nasan eitzal is a real pilpul pshat. So they say he's medayak in the Lashon husha nosin eitzal al hamila. So we know the Kedushas Yanter from the Satmar dynasty. They point out that the famous Gemara in Psachim. What the nusach habracha? Do you make the bracha al or la? So is it al bi'er chametz? Is it lavar? Is it al tekiah shofar? L'shmoa kol shofar? So the Gemara over there discusses. So the Rush over there points out if you could do it ayidei shliach, so then it's al. If you have to do it yourself, like tefillin, so haniach tefillin. So if you do it yourself, it has to be la. But if you're done ayidei shliach, you can make an al. So there's a famous Mishnah Lamelech, who and others clear the question: what was the status of the Avos Kodim Matan Torah? What was the status of Avraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov and others before the Torah was given? Did they have a status of a Jew? Well, no, they still only had a status of a Ben Noach. So the Mishnah Lamelech quotes these Mesurpe quotes a machokas on it. So he says like this: if Abraham was a Jew, so we know, then you can have shlichus, because a Jew could be a shliach. We know a guy can't be a shliach. So if Avram's a ben Noach, there is no shlichus. So he says, Hu shenasan eitz al hamila. He told him, treat yourself like a Yisrael, and therefore you can have shlichus. I mean, which is a general question whether the mitzvah of Mila is nitan l'shlichus. It's a whole discussion on it, the ksos, etc. So, but what's the pshat? The pshat is really, if you take it further, is la is going on the action. In other words, you have to do it yourself. That's going on the maisa. But if you're doing al is more result oriented, and that's why And that's why we see the Mamre is telling us about the mitzvah of Milah. He's telling us it's not only the act of cutting the arla, but it's the result as well as being gemalt. As the famous the Medrash says that David HaMelech was mitzvah, he couldn't do any mitzvahs until he was sitting in the Beis HaMerchatz in the bathhouse, until he was looked at his Milah or thought about his Milah, and he was comforted. Like, what was he comforted? He did the Milah years ago? The answer is no. There's not only a mitzvah of the Maisa Milah, but there's a mitzvah of the result. You being someone who is mohul, is gemalt. So in fact, that's what the famous the Barach Arzarua, the Arzarua's son. That's he writes one of the column. When do we say which mitzvah is nitan l'shlichus? Which mitzvah has shlichus? Which one doesn't? So he says that if the Torah is concerned with the act, the Maisa, so then there's no shlichus. You have to do it yourself. But if the Torah is concerned with the result, if the ikr is the result, then you can have shlichus. And that's the pilpul, that's the lumdus. However, there are many things in life have to be done in its proper time. And therefore, someone can say, it wasn't an issue of whether he was going to do the Milah or not. Of course he was going to do the Milah. But the question is should he do the Milah now? Because many times, right or wrong is easy, but it's not a matter of right or wrong. Is now the time to be learning in the Beis HaMedrash? Is now the time to learn? Is now the time to go and help? That was his issue. Like we have the Medrash Tanchuma Lechacha. What was Avram doing? So the Medrash says, Kol Salach, when you're saying the first pasuk of Shema Yisrael Hashem Echad, you have to stay still. But when you start with Hafta, you start walking. Like, why did the Medrash tell me a halacha about Kriya Shema? We wasn't saying Kriya Shema. The answer is, Avram was 75 at the time. So there was a midbar out there. Why did he wait to 75? Why not at 50? Why not at 25? And the answer is because his first 75 years he was working on himself. His Kabbalah so Malchus Shamayim. He had to focus inward. It wasn't until at 75 and God saw he was ready, he sent him out. If he sent it out at 25, it could have been a disaster at 50. So it's not a matter of going out. You know you're not staying in yeshiva forever. The question is, do I need another year of learning? Do I go out now? So that's what some point out. Hushanan Eitzal Milah, it wasn't a question of whether I do the Milah or not. It was a question of whether you should do the Milah now or later.